Well, over the last couple of years, we've been looking at ways of trying to reduce our energy consumption. So I've done a number of things like insulating the loft. I've got a combi that's made quite a big impact, done quite a lot of draft proofing. With really the major big thing we could do was the solid wall insulation. The City Council and the Centre for Sustainable Energy did quite a lot of publicity work around the Bristol Home Energy Upgrade programme. On this particular scheme, it was actually very, very straightforward. The main thing was to get an energy performance certificate for the building, and the Centre for Sustainable Energy took that information and worked out grant offer from that. From that point onwards, it's down to the householder to do all the work, to kind of research the project, get costings. At the back it's already rendered, and also at the back where we've got kitchens and bathrooms, moving stuff around to do the internal would be quite a complicated thing to do. So that's why we went for the external. These boards are made from a wood fibre, so it's a kind of recycled material. So what I'm looking at here is the sort of underlayer, the first layer that goes on, and then the second layer goes on top of that. So the insulation boards are actually fixed in position using bolts that go into the masonry. Well, I did get 3 quotes to that, and I sort of tended to find the smaller the company, the more kind of specialists they were in this area, the better the response I was getting. Because the solid wall insulation effectively means that the outside of the house comes out by about 120 millimetres, these pipes will be taken away from the wall, extended out and reconnected. And the same applies to any other item that's jutting out from the wall, for example the flue for the boiler. Having got the cladding onto the wall, there's a need to give it a weather protection. So there'll be a series of layers of thin rendering, so it'll look like a rendered buff-coloured wall when it's finished. 2 to 3 weeks seems to be a reasonable sort of estimate for a terrace house like this. You get a kind of overview of how the process is going to work, but when it comes to doing the individual stages and getting into the detail of it, there's always going to be aspects that surprise you. I mean, one of the things we've had to do is the original subsills have had to be sort of cut back to put the new insulation sills on top. One of the things that's probably worth considering when you're doing solid wall insulation is the condition of your windows, because if the windows are in poor condition, the sills, for example, you might have some rot in the sills. You want to try and get that sorted out either before or in conjunction with the solid wall insulation. Given that it's external works, that helps to sort of manage the level of disruptiveness. But yeah, I mean, having sort of scaffolding around the house, we haven't got a rear access, so everything's having to come through the house. And the process of just doing the work, is generating a little bit of dust and grime. The guys who've been doing this have been very considerate. They've tried to sort of cover things up, surfacing on the floor to protect the floors, that kind of thing. We've had a couple of very cold winters, and either you can use a lot of gas to keep the place warm, or you put up with a certain level of putting layers on and feeling not particularly comfortable. And I'm hoping it will address that. Obviously, it should reduce our energy bills, we think, by about 200 to 300 per year.